Made a bone collar using Vallejo game collar, uh, Blanco, Arctic White, and khaki. I just seen a support I missed. Gosh. I thought those were teeth. I can't get to those. They're teeth now. color over here. Move this closer. Paint's still too thick. I know it's too thick because it's trying to hide some of the detail. It should just flow into the detail, not cover it up. You can, if you get too much paint, you can take another brush and just touch it, and it'll suck up the extra paint. Now I got too much paint on my brush. I love the Nurgle because they're so disgusting looking.
he ought to be tied.
Who's supposed to win the fight stay?
But it was so much fun. He never felt more powerful than he did in controlling the giant armor. And he was good at it. More so the knight that used to train him, right? Naturally, as a prince, people told him what they thought he wanted to hear all the time, so he took it for himself. Still, there were few enough things that he got to do that he really enjoyed, and this was one of them. It annoyed him only a little that the reason he got to do it was to help with his brother's ongoing training. He had no idea what Lachlan had been doing at the temple, but having seen him return so exhausted he could barely walk, Jack hadn't been envious. The door burst open and Lachlan came in. "I'm not late, am I?" "Nope. We've still got nearly half an hour to go." "What kept you?" "Marshall had some last-minute instructions for me. Stuff he wanted me to try, that kind of thing. Not really sure how my power's going to operate since the owner does all the work." Jack shrugged. "The whole point of this test is to find that out, right? I say we just have fun and let Marshall worry about it. This is the first truly fun thing I've got to do in far too long, and I plan to enjoy it." "What about the chambermaid work?" "Okay, second fun thing. The point is, let's not stress the details. Have we ever sparred in the Nurgle before?" "No. Father wouldn't let us on the off chance we might damage them. I think the peace, along with Marshall's request, combined to change his mind." Lachlan grinned. "At least it'd be one-on-one. Sick of fighting three guys at the same time." "You're what?" Jack asked, hardly believing his ears. "Marshall has me sparring with three veteran warriors at the same time. He says the amount of ether I can use is already double. I even win 2 out of 3 matches. The problem is, all I want to do is sleep when we're done. Apparently, much like with anything else, I need to build up my stamina. And here I thought training to use the sun sword was tough. At least you don't have father breathing down your neck." "Marshall's no pushover, but he is nicer about it than father." Jack sneered. "That's been praise." The brothers shared a laugh, and Jack grinned. It felt good to spend time with Lachlan, just relaxing like brothers. They got to do that far too seldom. Someone knocked, and the door opened, revealing a knight dressed in a green black tunic. "The armor is prepared for you, your princess." Jack jumped out of his hard chair. "Time to play." They followed the knight down a passage that led to the armory. Montaigne's collection of magical armor filled the massive building. 2 more floors had been cleaned and polished until they gleamed. Some of the servants were still busy carting supplies off the wall, while on the platform above, 2 figures, a man dressed in a standard uniform and a woman wearing the green robes of a magical engineer, were watching them approach. It felt like the pair was looking right at you. This bothered him less than it might have, since, as a prince, people stare at him all the time. "The right unit is yours, Prince Jacob. Prince Lachlan, yours is the left," the Jack said. "You remember how to power them up?" Jack gave him a thumbs up. "No problem. What are we using for weapons?" "Training staves. The ends are padded to keep any damage to a minimum." Not as much fun as swords, but Jack wasn't about to complain. Given the cost of repairs, he was lucky Father allowed them to use staves. Jack shot his brother one final grin and hurried over to his unit. It rested on one knee, and the control chamber had been opened for him. clambered up its leg using decorated depressions that also served as hand and footholds to climb up. He settled into the control chamber and thrust his legs into the slots that allowed him to control the armor's legs. Now to power it up. A line of crystals ran along the front of the armor. He touched the central crystal until it started to glow. A display lit up, showing the outline of the armor. Okay, primary power-up was complete. Now he touched the leftmost crystal and a faint charge ran through his legs. He could now feel the armor's feet standing on the stone floor. Finally, he pressed the rightmost crystal and leaned back. His arms slid into their slots and the control chamber sealed around him. His mind fully linked with the armor, he could now see through its helmet. It was like being giant. I'm all set. Jack stood and found himself steady on his massive feet. A couple minutes later, Lockwood stood as well. Me too. The knight nodded. Go out the door and turn right to the training ground. The area has been cleared, but do be careful where you step. Jack stomped out ahead of his brother and made his way across the yard to the training grounds, basically just a huge open area between the castle and the northern wall. A large group had gathered a safe distance away to observe, including Father and Marshall. Now that Lockwood had magical abilities to draw one, Jack figured his odds of winning were smaller, but he was still determined to give it his best. Magic didn't decide everything after all. A pair of staves the size of small trees and rampant hundreds of yards of cloth were held upright by 6 soldiers on opposite sides of the training area. Jack went right and Lockwood left. He wrapped his hand around the staff but didn't move until the soldiers had let go and run away. The way everyone acted like he might step on them was hurting his feelings. How are we going to handle this? Jack asked. The knight approached and said, this will be a simple sparring match. 3 strikes ends it. Don't hit each other with anything other than the stings. Got it, Jack said. Understood, Lockwood said. The knight trotted off the field and Jack said, want to call it? Sure. Ready? Jack raised his staff in a 2-handed grip, and Lockwood did the same. Go! Jack charged, closing the distance between himself and his brother in 3 strides. His staff came down at Lockwood's shoulder, only to be turned aside at the last moment. Lockwood stepped in and slammed the butt of his staff into Jack's chest, staggering from the step. That's one for me, Lockwood said as they returned to their starting positions. Jack muttered about overconfident and magical little brothers and raised his staff for the next round. At Lockwood's little command, he approached more cautiously. A few probing blows were turned aside by each of them. This time, Lockwood took the initiative and swung a hard overhand blow. Jack raised his staff to block, then caught himself as he was about to kick Lockwood in his exposed stomach. That's exactly the right move in a real fight, but against the rules here. Instead, they jostled for position, pushing back and forth. The 2 suits of magical armor were perfectly mirrored, and neither prince could take the advantage. Jack waited until Lockwood made his next surge and stepped back. His brother stumbled and took a blow to the side from Jack's staff. Ha! 1 each! Jack barely caught Lockwood, muttered, watch my balance. The duel continued for another 5 minutes, ending with Jack winning 3-2. He could hardly believe it, but didn't plan to complain. He seldom beat Lockwood at anything these days, so anything was a good one. They returned the armor to their slots in the armor and climbed down. Both men were covered in sweat from the heat of the control chambers. Lockwood grinned and trotted over. Good match! They shook hands, and Jack grinned back. You too. Jack glanced around to make sure they were alone. Did the magic do anything for you? Not so far as I could tell. I've got to meet with Father and Marshall and see what they say. Want to have lunch together afterward? Here, I'll meet you at the usual place. Lockwood nodded and tried off toward the castle. Jack went outside and took a deep breath. He had no lessons or plans today. That was rare enough that he planned to enjoy it as much as he could. Hopefully, Lockwood would get good news. Though what good news would look like for him under the current circumstances, Jack had no idea. After the prince's sparring match, King Jacob led Marshall back to his office, where they settled once more and he overstuffed one of the chairs. He wanted to get the high priest's impressions of what happened before Lachlan arrived. To say that the younger prince's loss had been a surprise was putting it mildly. The one with the magical ability wasn't supposed to lose to the one without. So what happened? Jacob asked. Marshall frowned at the question. What do you mean? Don't give me that. Lachlan lost. That wasn't supposed to happen. No. You misunderstood the purpose of the test. I wanted to see if this talent would manifest outside of direct combat. In this case, while he was piloting the suit of magical armor. It didn't. Not in any meaningful way, at least. The ether did stir as he thought, but making his body stronger and faster doesn't do much good when the moves are naturally slowed by the armor's reaction time. So he has to be fighting someone toe-to-toe for it to work? Likely. We haven't tested archery yet, but I doubt that would be intense enough to trigger the magic. Danger is the key. At least, I believe it is. The range of archery and the protection provided by the magical armor both serve to reduce the sense of danger. That's also why the magic reacts weakly when Lachlan fights his brother. He really doesn't feel threatened by him. Why does it work that way? Marshall shook his head. No one knows why any given wild talent works the way it does. It just does. I hate to say because it's magic, but that's basically it. Jacob grunted. Even though it was his responsibility as king, he hated dealing with things like this. There was a knock on the door. It's Lachlan. Come in, Jacob said. The door opened, and his younger son slipped inside. He offered a sheepish look and bow. Sorry I lost. We discussed this, Marshall said. Winning or losing wasn't the point. It was an experiment, and as such, the information I gave was valuable. I now understand better how your talent works. Lachlan brightened. That's good, right? How does it work? Marshall went over everything he'd already told Jacob. We'll try archery next session. I appreciate your dedication to this project. Not at all. Knowing how all this works might save my life one day. Was there anything else? Jacob and I were going to have lunch together. Go ahead, he said. The rest of the day is yours. Thank you, Father. Lachlan bowed and hurried out. When he'd gone, Marshall said, he's a remarkably good person. Lucky for everyone that someone like Lachlan gained such a dangerous wild talent. Can you imagine if he had the temperament of an assassin or, worse, a mad criminal? I shuddered to think. Jacob grunted. Too much kindness is no good thing for a warrior. On the other hand, his lack of ambition is ideal for a second son. I'll call it a toss-up for now. Keep me informed as your tests continue. Marshall stood and bowed. Of course. I feel like I'm pretty close to fully understanding this talent. Going forward, the task will be to help him hone it as much as possible. Jacob waved his old friend out. Interesting as all the magic business was, he still had a kingdom to run, and he needed to get back to work. Chapter 34. West walked through the dark forest. Mist shrouded everything, making it hard to see more than a few feet in any direction. He was dreaming. West knew that because he visited this exact same forest last night as well. Now, as then, nothing presented itself beyond trees and darkness. Try as he might, West couldn't imagine why his mind had conjured this particular dreamscape. The forest wasn't a place he liked to visit. Maybe if Harper was with him, it would make more sense. But him, alone in the forest? No, that made no sense at all. Since he had only two options, walk or stand still, West kept moving. Maybe there was a way out of this tree. Waking up would do it, but he didn't know how to wake himself up. Since no one else was doing it, he He assumed he hadn't started screaming and thrashing. Harper kept watch right now, so if he did anything strange, she'd see it at once. For no other reason than to see if he could wrest dry whiskey. Turned out he could, but the mist dampened the sound, making it seem weak and timid. He didn't care for the implications, and fell silent. Cold, dark laughter filled the air. He stopped and spun in a circle, hands raised and ready to cast. Your magic doesn't work with you. The voice sent a chill up his spine. He'd never heard anything so evil. You have no idea what you do. The humming voice said. West looked all around, trying to figure out where it was coming from. This is your mind, boy. I'm coming from inside you. Liar! There's nothing in me that sounds anything like you. Whatever you are, you're not a part of me. Simply all humans have a bit of darkness in them. Don't believe me? Just take a look at that girl that's surrounded. Sweet, fading his wisdoms as easily as you might demand. She wasn't even upset. What sort of 18-year-old girl murders 3 people without blinking an eye? The sort that just had her father killed by those same people. Harper isn't a bad person, just angry and determined to find the ones responsible for that crime. She'll turn back to normal once it's done. The cold laughter came again, and even West was honest enough to recognize the lie he told himself. Harper would never be the same. Not after losing Dawson the way she did. It would be unreasonable of her to expect her to be. But even if she wasn't the same, she was still Harper. That was all West cared about. You're too weak to be with her. West spun and found himself standing face to face with another kid. A harder, sneering version dressed all in black. His eyes sunken and dark, his skin pale like he hadn't seen the sun for months. You don't have to be the dark version said. Strong enough to stand beside Harper instead of holding him back. Strong and touch in danger. That's what you want. Who are you? I am a version of you that isn't a pathetic excuse for a man. I am the version of you that had the courage to pour ether into the amulet's eye and summon the demon within. I am the version of you not afraid to embrace true power. West's mind reeled. He knew there was something dark about the amulet when he felt it burning through his pocket. But the idea that it held a demon was too much for him to process. Some of the things it said were true. He did want to be strong enough to protect Harper and make her happy. Of course, if he tried to protect her, the last thing it would do was make her happy. Choosing evil won't get me what I want. You can stay in your prison and rot for all eternity. Darkwest smiled. You see that now. Everyone says that most. Well, maybe. But most. Once in a while, you find the human willing to embrace their true nature. Those people are treasures beyond man. But the rest need time to accept the truth. And if there's one thing the demon has, it's time. West sat up with a gasp. The light from a small fire illuminated the clearing where they'd set up camp. Mila was sound asleep, one arm under her head. Nothing like walking for hours on end to show a good night's rest, assuming you weren't carrying a necklace with the demon inside. That dream? He flinched and turned enough to see Harper sitting in the shadow of a maple. She held her father's sword across her knees. Yeah, I guess the fight with that wizard and his pet freaked me out worse than I thought. I can take over if you want to turn in. It's only been an hour. You won't pass half a day if you don't get more sleep than that. Wes doubted he was going to get any more sleep at this point, said so. What he didn't point out was the demon's presence. He wanted to talk to Maggie about it first. Can you tell me about it? Uncle asked. Wes shook his head. That was the last thing he wanted to do. I might not sleep, but I will try and rest. Good idea. I'll give you a shake when it's your turn to stand watch. One more day should put enough distance between us and the dead man that we can go back to just using your wall at night. On the off chance some of his friends came looking for him, I didn't want to get caught on the run. West nodded. You'll hear no complaint from me. No one ever died from an excess of caution. He lay back down and closed his eyes, but as he felt hope and fear, sleep refused to come. Chapter 35. Maddox made excellent time traveling north on his undead mount. The farmer he'd taken the horse from had objected by leveling a pitchfork at Maddox, which gave him all the excuse he needed to kill the man and his wife before adding them to his collection of tools. He burned the farmhouse down for good measure. Hopefully it would keep anyone from looking too hard for the bodies. Not that he especially cared if anyone realized the bodies were gone. He visited the farm in the middle of the night, and none of the neighbors lived within 2 miles of the place. Now the edge of the Great Forest was in sight. Evergreens taller than the ruined tower he and Luca had visited jutted into the sky. What separated the Great Forest from every other collection of trees in Montaigne was the old growth. No one had ever walked there, at least not in hundreds of years. That would change, of course. Montaigne's hunger for timber was inexhaustible, and the massive trees were too tempting to ignore for long. He shook his head. All men wanted something, but most lacked the will to do whatever it took to get it. Maddox wasn't so weak. With that said, figuring out the complex ritual he copied in Warhol's chambers was taking far longer than he hoped. He spent a few hours studying it every night when he made camp, and still barely understood the first paragraph with its multi-layered ethereal construct. Warhol might be stronger than him, but Maddox didn't think the man was smarter. Though if they were to have any real hope of unraveling the immortal apprentice's puzzle, maybe he'd better hope Warhol was as smart as he thought he was. At the edge of the woods, where the trees were still short and scrubby, Maddox reined in and dismounted. The horse would be more of a hindrance than help in the forest. He grabbed his laden pack, handed it off to one of the lesser ghouls, and ordered the undead horse to remain in place until he returned. For the last 2 days, he'd seen no sign of civilization, so the odds of someone stumbling onto the creature were minimal. With the mental command, he sent the greater ghouls forward to rip a path into the woods. The monsters tore flexible limbs, ripping them to pieces and quickly making a path for Maddox. The ghouls seemed to enjoy shredding the trees nearly as much as they did flesh. Destruction for the sake of it was very much a ghoul trait. Actually, it was a trait of all undead with even a hint of personality, and humans were worse. As long as they destroyed what he told them to, and only what he told them to, Maddox didn't care what they thought. In the end, they were tools to be used as he saw fit, and discarded them no longer of value. Speaking of disposable tools, Maddox wondered how good was the story. Giving that weekly humans was a bit like giving a toddler alchemist's fire. He just knew nothing good would come of it. Banishing all his extraneous thoughts, Maddox focused. The whited lands, assuming they lived up to their name, must be rife with corruption. That should make them easy to find for a wizard. Of course, the Great Forest wasn't called that because it was small, and he only had a vague direction to work with. He shrugged and kept moving. An hour after he started, the forest opened up under the old growth canopy, and the walking became easy. His every magical sense alert for any hint of corruption, Maddox marched along steadily, pausing only once for lunch. By the time darkness fell, he'd gotten miles from where he started, yet he felt no closer to his destination. No one ever said the search for power would be an easy one. His camp consisted of a small fire contained by magic and a bed of spruce leaves. After eating, he dug out the copy pages and studied the spell. Feeling at least somewhat confident with the first stage of the ritual, he summoned 6 threads and did his best to recreate the layered design. He failed miserably. 2 more attempts left him exhausted and frustrated. Falling back into his slightly prickly bed, Maddox released the ether and dismissed the ritual from his mind. Time to sleep and get a fresh start in the morning. Morgoth sat on the floor of the ritual chamber and focused on maintaining the first part of the spell while putting the second part in place. So far, this was where the whole project fell apart, and the moment after he thought it, the ether exploded into glittering sparks that quickly faded. He glanced at the arm and leg sitting on the stone table and swallowed a curse. If the apprentice's consciousness was truly present in his legs, he was no doubt laughing hysterically at Morgoth's pathetic failure. Not that he needed to justify himself to an arm and leg, but unlike the apprentice, Morgoth hadn't been trained by the most powerful arcane lord of them all. His master had been powerful and skilled, but a powerful and skilled human was still little more than a child compared to one of the lords. A faint warmth on his chest distracted him. Morgoth pulled the black skull lantern out and found the eyes glowing red. Unlike the sad imitations he provided to his followers, Morgoth's amulet had a number of other useful abilities. The glowing red eyes, for example, meant that one of his agents in Astaroth's hell wished to speak to him. They weren't carrying out any projects for him at the moment, so he couldn't imagine what prompted the contact. He shrugged. Well, he'd find out. He poured ether into the eyes and concentrated. Morgoth recognized the magical signature as the leader of his 2 divine servants, an imp bound to watch over the area of hell nearest their world. The imp's job was to ensure no one from that side interfered with Morgoth's plans in secret. It wasn't strong enough to stop anyone, but at least it could alert him to the danger. Go ahead. A human soul just arrived from your world, Master, along with a hellhound. Morgoth swallowed another curse. That had to be his own. Didn't help it for being wiped about the useless fool. Now he had to assume the worst, that Baron McLeod would be coming for payback. Strong as he was, Morgoth couldn't fight off all the Baron's soldiers off his own. He'd have to make arrangements to relocate. The question was, how to go about it. Well done, he said when he remembered the imp was still connected to his amulet. Keep me posted as usual. Releasing the imp, Morgoth considered the best way to get all his precious books, as well as the apprentice's arm and leg, out of here by himself. At least he had a place to escape to. His late master had a redoubt for just such an emergency. Naturally, when Morgoth killed him, he inherited that along with everything else. Offering a faint shake of his head, Morgoth stood. He had so many more pressing matters to deal with. Now the incompetent Nurgle had added to his burden, but then again it was the burden of all great men to be dragged down by fools. He left the ritual chamber and returned to his room. Inside, he collected the crystal that would let him send a message to Helm. His less than loyal follower needed to know what was happening. The rest of them did as well, but Morgoth had no way to contact the other humans. It looked like they'd be in the field for the foreseeable future anyway, so he saw no reason to worry about them for the time being. Taking a moment to compose his thoughts, Morgoth said, Ukazar is failing. Abandoning base and moving to emergency hideout. Continue the search. Satisfied with that, he sent the message off. Now to get to work. His collection wasn't going to move itself. the other didn't really feel like home with her father gone. At least she'd sent one of his killers to one of her held agreed with him. She took some small satisfaction from that. She winced as it leaned from her arm stabbed her. The burned, if that was the right word, arm had been jabbing her more and more the last day and a half. She tried her best not to think what that might mean. Rest assured her that Maggie would know what to do. Hopefully Maggie could do something for West as well. He looked exhausted, worn down to numb from lack of sleep. Something was bothering him, obviously, but he wouldn't share whatever he had on his mind with him. Probably because he didn't want to add to her burden or something equally foolish, as if seeing him like this didn't add to the burden. Only Mila, to her surprise, remained in good shape. The girl walked along without complaint, slept like the dead no matter how hard the ground, and generally did nothing to make Harper regret getting her out of her cell. And thoughts of that cell no doubt played a big part in her excellent attitude. When you'd been kidnapped and locked up by a bunch of crazy cultists, there really was nowhere to go but up. When the first building appeared in the distance, Harper asked, "Are you sure you don't want to see your brother?" Mila shook her head. Brainy and I never got along. He thinks it's my fault father shipped him off to this backwater village. No offense. None taken, Harper said. Harville is without a doubt a backwater village, and we like it that. Generally, we have nothing worse to worry about than an occasional bandit or any unique bit of wildlife. These same murderous wizards are happily a rarity. Not rare enough, West laughed. Harper couldn't argue with that.
clothes softer, fresher, and better. We breathe life into your laundry.
It's time to find a new apartment on Zillow. Oh, these are all great. And this one's close to Mom. I can finally go to Sunday dinners again. Or maybe we can even do them here.
Zillions of apartments, one way home. Zillow Rentals.
Harper bid her that they stay calm. They'd had some variation of this conversation half a dozen times since that first night he woke up from the nightmare. A seventh attempt wasn't going to make any difference. Mila looked from her to west and back, clearly ill at ease. Harper did her best to plaster on a smile. Don't worry. As soon as we get my arm sorted out, we'll have you back with your father and your I'm grateful for everything you two have done for me. Yes. It's strange, though. I want to go home and see my father, yet I can't help wondering if I'll feel safe once I get there, given what's already happened. Harper wished she had an easy answer for Mila, but the ugly truth of the world was that you were never completely safe anywhere, including at home, surrounded by people that helped you, servants and soldiers. Life just didn't work that way. But how did you tell a 13-year-old girl that? Before she could come to a conclusion, West angled across the street to Maggie's shop and pushed the door open before they had a chance to join him. Harper caught the faint tinkle of the bell as West went through. Maggie, are you here? Harper and Lena walked into the shop and Harper